had played in bands together for a couple of years and helped get me in.
He remained silent for decades. The man who created the greatest guitar solo of rock history, the artist whose fingers etched out the eerie notes that transformed Hotel California from song to anthem, from album to cultural icon, was Don Felder. But within the Eagles, the group whose music he contributed to elevating from country rock sentimentals to arena-filling giants, he was an outsider. Now, at age 77, Felder has nothing to lose, no band affiliations to uphold, no painstakingly groomed image to preserve. He has finished holding his tongue. The account he has just started to reveal strips away the shiny record covers, the platinum records, and the screaming arena tours to show a brutal reality concealed beneath the consonants. It is one of betrayal, domination, and artistic suffocation. To millions of listeners, the Eagles embodied perfect balance and unity, a blend of voices so tight it sounded like one. But to Felder, who lived it from the inside, the harmony was a mask. You think you know the Eagles? Think again. This is what really happened behind Hotel California, the masterpiece that defined them. And it all started in Malibu with a 12-string guitar and a humble demo that would change the course of rock history forever. The guitarist who revolutionized everything entered the picture in 1974 when Don Felder became an official member of the Eagles. Prior to that, the group had seen commercial success with a series of radio-friendly hits, such as Take It Easy, Peaceful Easy Feeling, and Best of My Love. They were adored for their silky smooth harmonies, soothing acoustic textures, and West Coast laid-back attitude. They were a great band, excellent really, but they had not yet reached the peak of greatness, the explosiveness, the arena-conquering sound that would propel them to superstardom. Felder altered all that overnight. With him on board, the Eagles gained a new musical vocabulary, a booming synthesis of blues rawness, southern rock intensity, and technical skill that few of the others could match. He didn't simply add guitar, he added thunder. His riffs became alive with bite, weight, and edge. His solos brought in intricacy, counterpoint, and emotional punch. What was once a mellow country rock band suddenly had the power to roar. Felder's playing built harmonized solos, created intricate progressions, and added to each song a harder-edged tone that sent their recordings soaring into another stratosphere. He fit right in with the Eagles' trademark vocal harmonies, but at the same time provided them with substance. To the fans, he was more than a supporting cast member. He was a key force of change, that elusive ingredient that propelled the band from favorite to eternal. The highest point of his impact was 1970 SAXS Hotel California. It started out as a simple instrumental demo that he recorded himself in his Malibu house on a 12-string guitar. But what it ended up as, largely due to his sweeping, complicated, unforgettable guitar solo, was a song that transcended time. That lone combined ethereal melody with technical accuracy so perfect that Rolling Stone Guitar World and scores of critics would go on to classify it as among the finest guitar solos ever recorded. It didn't merely finish the song, it imbued it with its soul. To millions of listeners, it wasn't merely a moment. It was the moment, the definitive articulation of all the Eagles represented. With Felder on board, the sound of the band peaked, gigantic in conception and unforgettable in effect. Yet, while the public welcomed his genius, within the band the dynamics were already changing and the harmony of sound was giving way to a war unspoken. The Eagles might have sung of harmony, but within their universe there was anything but. Behind the veil of perfection in live performances, multi-platinum sales figures, and Grammy victories was a rigid pecking order, a system characterized more by dictate than by cooperation. At the apex of that pyramid were Don Henley and Glenn Frey, the undisputed, absolute rulers. They weren't merely co-founders or lead vocalists. They were executives in everything but name. Each choice, from what songs were included, to who did the lead vocals, to how profits were divided, went through their approval. The outside world perceived solidarity, but behind closed doors it became obvious. Henley and Frey were the Eagles, and the rest of the band, despite talent, were supporting players. Felder, with contributions too great to number, was relegated to being another gun for hire. He wrote Hotel California, brought guitar wizardry fans still adore, and gave the tougher, louder sound that propelled them into legend. But at business meetings when the band members convened, he was usually not invited. In money matters, his opinion was disallowed. In artistic choices, his opinion was dismissed. Felder started asking questions. They were not extreme demands, just legitimate grievances. Why did Henley and Fry get unfairly better pay? Why were key decisions made in secret and then imposed on the rest of the band as fait accompli? Why were the creative and monetary efforts of others so consistently ignored? But Henley and Fry did not perceive these issues as legitimate complaints, but as attacks on their power. The reaction was hostility, and the designation pinned on Felder was one of the most hurtful in music, difficult. It was loose enough to stick, but heavy enough to shun him. Branded with that reputation, he found management comporting differently around him, his intentions questioned, his presence more and more sequestered. To the outside, he was an eagle like the others. Within the band, he had become a problem to deal with instead of a respect partner. This chilly dynamic festered for years, but by 1994 it boiled over. During the year, for the first time in 14 years, the Eagles got back together for the Hell Freezes over tour. To the general public, it was promoted as a happy rebirth. The tour itself was a huge success, selling out stadiums worldwide, and the live album that accompanied it served as a reminder to fans of the band's unparalleled magic. On stage, Felder was where he was supposed to be, acing solos and harmonies, fitting seamlessly into place, still carrying the same fire that he had always carried. Fans saw only strength, nostalgia, and togetherness. But backstage, the old dynamics were back more entrenched than ever. Henley and Fry still dominated all financial and artistic decisions. Felder had hoped that the reunion would be honest and fair, but soon found out nothing was different. He was expected to sing, not share. The tension was unbearable, building from polite exclusions to unmistakable tension. Then, in February 2001, came the blow that shocked him. Without notice, without negotiation, without even a call, Felder was sent a fax, a cold, single-page letter informing him that he had been fired. After decades of service, sacrifice, and ingenuity, his role in the band came to an end not in appreciation or talk, but with the push of a button. It was not a farewell of a collaborator, it was the elimination of a headache. For the man who had made their most legendary sound, it was betrayal in its worst form. But Felder did not go quietly into the night. Instead, he did something few people would even have dared. He lashed back, not with a guitar, this time, but with a lawsuit. In a daring move, he sued Don Henley and Glenn Fry for wrongful dismissal, breach of fiduciary duty, and unfair division of profits. It was a declaration of war, albeit a shocking one to the music world. He wasn't suing fellow band members. He was battling the billion-dollar apparatus of a brand fueled by the fantasy of togetherness. The lawsuit exposed a poisonous power imbalance long suspected but never confirmed by anyone. Now, the Eagles' reputation was under the magnifying glass. Was the same band that sang of innocence and freedom really operated like a corporate empire fueled by ego? The legal case went on for years, roundly covered in the press. Contracts, royalty rates, and internal politics were analyzed in headlines globally. This was not for revenge or reinstatement for Felder. He did not want to go back to the band. What he desired was acknowledgement, his due position in the narrative. In 2007, the case folded quietly on a confidential settlement. The terms were not disclosed, but the injury to the Eagles' meticulously crafted image could not be undone. Felder had established his point. He was more than a sideman. He was a pillar, and he would not be forgotten. In 2008, Felder took it a step further and released Heaven and Hell, My Life in the Eagles, a tell-all memoir that removed all pretense. Far removed from sanitized rock memoirs, Felder's book was raw and honest. He revealed the internal struggles for songwriting credits, being left out of business matters, and the bitter discovery that his creativity had value only as long as it didn't threaten the pecking order. The Eagles' camp resisted, with Henley's attorneys attempting to silence parts of the audiobook, but Felder held fast. This was not revenge, he maintained. It was correction of history. It was the story of a man at last speaking his truth. And Felder did more than right. He reclaimed his voice through new music. In 2012, he came out with Road to Forever, an album immersed in the hurt, betrayal, and healing of his Eagles post-life. It was intensely personal, written not for commercial success, but as a breath of emotions. Critics applauded its sincerity and vulnerability. In 2019, he followed American rock and roll, a colorful tribute to the genre, with legends Mick Fleetwood and Sammy Hagar. Their partnership was not just about music, it was endorsement by peers recognizing his status among rock's best. By 2025, he revealed The Vault, a 50-year retrospective of unreleased demos and collaborations, demonstrating he was still forging ahead, still writing his script on his own terms. But life reminded him of its vulnerability that same year. During playing Tequila Sunrise on the rock legend's cruise in early 2025, Felder fainted on stage, overwhelmed by dehydration and fatigue. The spectacle shocked fans who had been with him for decades. Fortunately, he recovered, assuring his fans he would be back soon. It was a grim reminder of time's passage, but also of Felder's strength. He returned not with excuses, but with the same ferocity of will that had always driven him. Today, Don Felder does not wait for confirmation from Henley, Frey's legacy, or official Eagles lore. He forges his own. In workshops, interviews, and mentorship, he educates young artists not only in music, but in staying power, what he terms surviving invisible burnout. He informs them that if the record books omit him, the music itself will keep him in. And whenever he plays the Hotel California solo on large or small stages, note for note, he lets the world know that some legacies cannot be removed, no matter the efforts of others.